G'day, guys, and welcome back to another live stream. So sorry about last night, and we had no internet because, as you would have seen on the Facebook and also the Instagram page, that my town is underwater. Absolutely, some of the worst flooding we've ever had. So we can talk a bit about that because I've had over 100 messages from you guys asking about the floods and how it's affected me. We've had some of the worst flooding and more rain since the great 1974 floods here in Brisbane and Queensland. And it was really bad, like really, really bad. 5 minutes from my house is all underwater. And I've been cut off from the outside world for a week now, and it's only just opened up. So we'll bring Jason in. But before we start, please hit that subscribe button. Share this with your friends and give the video a thumbs up. Really appreciate it. So we shall bring young Jason in. G'day, young whippersnapper.
What's happening? Just give me a sec. Is that coming through okay? Sorry, I've just changed some of my settings as well. So just making sure everything's working fine.
Thank you very much, Lockie, for the super chat. $30. Thank you so much. I hope all is well at your end. Yeah, I'm trying to stay dry. And it's it's been just bad, real bad here. As Jason can see, there's no food in the supermarkets, there's nothing, it's just bare. Like really bad. So the roads are meant to be opened late this afternoon. So hopefully, if this next storm doesn't come, we can be a part of civilization again.
Yeah, I was going to say, where's everyone from? Because I don't think I've seen sun for about 3 weeks here. It's just been raining every goddamn day, man. It's just, is everyone getting the shits with it too? Depends on where you are around the country. Maybe people have got blue skies where you are, but yeah, not here. It's absolutely terrible right now. It's been raining. Like, it feels like it's been raining. It's probably 3 weeks now. It's been raining, storms every single day, 3 times a day. Last 2 days just been raining all day. Pretty heavy rain too. Yeah, it's annoying. I love when it rains, but not this much. Not this much.
Yeah, so out our way. Thank you to Matt Outdoor Adventures for the donation as well. I do appreciate that. So yeah, all your donations are really, really helpful. And guys, I keep saying it, you guys are the best, and thank you so much for donating to the show to help us out. Because without you guys, the show wouldn't be on air. And woke up this morning to an absolute cracker of a thunderstorm, and the road started flooding, coming back up again. And by this afternoon, all the kids were pulled out of school. Like emergency evacuations around this area. So
Yeah,
let's
right.
hope, it doesn't get any worse.
Yeah, it's pretty bad at the moment here. God, so annoying. I've been reading people's comments in Victoria, and they're saying, it's pretty good down there. So, yeah, compared to here, it just feels like no sun. It's just, man, it's a bloody just shit. So, hopefully, it gets better sooner rather than later, because it's just annoying. The lawns need mowing, and everything's getting long, and yeah, every time you try and do something, it just rains again and again and again. So, not as bad as Brisbane, obviously, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it is pretty bad. So here, I'll
Where
bring
we
a
go, what
few.
do you know? It's raining again now.
I'll bring a couple of pictures up
Yep.
before we start the topic for tonight to show everyone what has been happening. Oh, it's not that one there; it's this one. So this is my town, my local area here. So that's the road out of here. And it's that's actually when the water was receding. It was way past that. It was like miles up here, like probably another 20, 30 meters up this way. So you can see the sign. That's a big park there, and that's the main road there. And just when you turn right from there, here's that road there. That's like another 50 meters down the road, and there's a Land Cruiser stuck in there. So Land Cruisers can't exactly go everywhere. Not a very clear photo, but there it is, stuck in the middle of the flood. Thought he could get through. And then that's the other side of the industrial area out this way. And the supermarket's bare. There's nothing in the supermarkets. It's pretty bad.
Everyone's buying up again and doing stupid things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's been pretty bad, and they reckon if the storm hits, we could be cut off again for another week, and we've had no internet, phone, and most people have had no power in this area.
Yeah, Fur Reader says he loves the rain. All rain is good. Flooding is great. Maybe one day our stolen tax money will be spent on some actual problem areas. Well,
Well,
if you've lost your house, man, people probably disagree. Hey, I like when it rains too. I think rain, the sound of rain, I just love when it rains. I think it's awesome. But when it's like now, weeks, like fuck, it's weeks and weeks on end here in Sydney. It's just terrible. Like it just
well,
starts to wear on you after a while. It's like, oh, again, rain, and you can't go outside. You just get confined to home. It's just shit.
yeah. The last Saturday and Sunday, we had 1,000 mils at my house just in those 2 days.
Yeah,
That's
it's a
how
fair
bad it
bit.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah, and
was
Colin Penfold
unbelievable.
says don't drive through floodwater, even 10 centimeters deep. Yeah. Well, yeah, people often don't, where they're driving and then they don't have snorkels and things like that. Then again, I must admit, I did it on the way home from the duck hunting last year, but, I sort of took it easy. Yeah, it was flowing across the road a little bit, but I mean, I knew that wasn't deep there. I've been there through there 100 times. So, but anyway, it's
Yeah,
all good. Yeah. I mean, good for the dams and good for the farmers. And, that's if it's raining where they are. But now that obviously a lot of flood damage as well.
yeah. No, it is pretty bad. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Been talking to people in my trade about it. We're going to wonder what's going to happen with it all because the insurance companies can take years. Literally, there's still people trying to get their houses fixed from the 2011 floods. And yeah, people, you get to the stage where if guys, I've worked in the insurance industry for years and gave it away years ago. And if you got work to be done, you're best to pay for it yourself and get reimbursed by the insurance company because you can be waiting 3-4 years after a flood before any action happens.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
not good times, people. Like, imagine that we've had this, but funny how what the topic that we're going to talk about tonight and the floods. There's
yeah.
no mention of the last 2 years on the radio, eh?
No,
Poof, just
no. Well, it's
disappeared.
cured. No, these floods have cured COVID. It's a miracle.
I
Praise the
wasn't going to
Lord.
say the name because they'll demonetize you, but there you go.
Oh, yeah, it happens all the time. Yeah. So, yeah, that's a miracle. It's all cured, finished. It's gone, guys. Just like
I've
that. They
literally
got a
not
new.
heard one thing about it in the last 3 weeks since the Ukrainian
Well,
thing going on, and yeah, not
well,
surprising though, is it?
Well, the dog muzzle mandate comes off tomorrow, but she's already said, our dopey premier, that we'd much rather if you did actually keep wearing your masks. Yeah, right. I've been the last 4 weeks. You go to the shops and no one's wearing the bloody things. Like probably only 20% of people are. I had one, um, so one weirdo flipping out because he saw someone not wearing a mask, and yeah, it's very interesting. So, yep. So now they're on to the new talking point, which is the Ukraine war. So yeah, which is very interesting. If you guys saw Paul Joseph Watson's new video today, you'd find out a lot of the facts and a lot of the media lying about basically everything we've seen on mainstream media is all fabrication and lie. Even photos were from about 10 years ago of things that were happening.
Mm. Yeah, exactly. It's you don't know what to believe on TV. That's the problem, when you start questioning them. After a while, you
Yeah,
just don't know what to believe. If someone asked you how the shed's going, I lost it. I
yeah,
think it was that's Daniel Andrews. Oh, and he's got a
yeah,
new what do you
yeah.
call that? A new picture on his profile, a new thumbnail picture.
Oh, yeah. The shed's going good. Well, I did actually had a leak in the shed, but what it was the new water tank I just installed. I had the inlet right next to the shed, about that far from the shed, and it filled up because it's not a big tank. So I don't need a big tank. It's just there to use a hose. And it was overflowing like an absolute waterfall, hitting the shed and filling up the ground between the tank and the shed. I've got a video coming out later on about it, and it was just filling up the shed. But I moved it. Literally, I moved it. My neighbour, he came over and gave me a hand, and we turned it all around, replumbed it, and literally And half an hour later, the storm started, and I've had no problems whatsoever. I've just been living in the shed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nick Blackwell was right, I think, too. He said, we haven't heard about the you-know-what after the Ukrainian thing because, yes, the elections are coming up. And that's why we saw it. I was telling Aaron the other week or the other day, that's why New South Wales have dumped the restrictions. And all of a sudden, Tasmania, what, about 2 weeks ago, says, most of these areas, you don't have to provide your, paper status of your, the you-know-what, if you know what I mean. So all of a sudden, weird, just, 2 years and then, 6, 7, 8 weeks out from an election, all of a sudden everything's dropped. I mean, again, guys, all I just say is never, ever forget. Don't forget in the 8 weeks, a lot of Australians are stupid people and they will forget. They've got very short memories, but we should not forget the last 2 years. Interesting that tries to put sanctions on Vladimir Putin, but he can't keep his rogue premiers in order. That's hilarious. And then he bans Putin from Australia. As you can understand, Putin is obviously shaking in his boots that some douchebag. I don't even know who probably doesn't even know who Scott Morrison is. I don't think, and he'd be forgiven not to know who he is. So interesting, but just goes to show what weak politicians we do have. But never forget.
And all the around the world, actually, it started here in Perth, which banning Russian vodka, which is no surprise here. Ban guns, now they're banning vodka, and they ban people apparently from coming into their state. So it's the state of bans, and they're banning Russian vodka, and now it's sort of snowballed around the world. So it's just one big virtue signal. That's all. It's like one thing I hated
to be screwing over. Russian people that probably don't have anything to do with it. Someone didn't want to play a tennis player the other day, Russia, but nothing to do with these people. You know what I mean? Like, why would you go after probably innocent people that probably might not even agree with any war anyway?
Yeah, none of a lot of them live on the poverty line, and they don't want war whatsoever. So it's ridiculous. Banning Russian vodka. One thing I hate in life is virtue signaling. I just can't stand that crap. Like that post I put up today, someone mentioned it about all the actors singing John Lennon Imagine. Well, they just better start doing that again so Russia will stop invading. Two things I hate is celebrities opening their stupid trap because they have no idea on the real world, and virtue signaling and people take the knee and all that sort of stuff. That's something I can't stand. But we still got discrimination up here. I'm about to become a grumpy old man in a few hours' time. I turn 50 tomorrow, and I can't even go to my local pub for a beer.
Yeah, and who pays? The government doesn't suffer the wrath of that. Unfortunately, the business does by not getting your business. So, I mean, Labor, not surprising, they like to destroy business, but then again, same as the Liberal Party. Two different wings of the same bird. So, I just, even in some of the by-elections in New South Wales here, there was obviously quite a swing against the Liberal Party. But, I mean, even after all the negative publicity of, what's Bruzz's name? What's his name again? Oh, I've gone totally blank. The guy Friendly Geordies was dealing with and having trouble with.
John
Barilaro. That's it, John Barilaro. And, they still voted for a national up there. Beggars belief, man, beggars belief. But anyway, you can't teach stupid people. So, and I thought that was enough damage to do the Nationals, enough damage to lose to at least another minor party. But then I guess not, eh? People are still stupid up that way in the Hunter Valley. No disrespect to the good ones up there, but a lot of stupid people up there by the looks of it.
Yes, exactly. Well, thank you for all the birthday wishes, guys, coming in. Oh, that's not one. I'll try to click on Cliff's one, our friend Cliff. And thank you so much to Epic Flyer, $50. Happy birthday, old fella. You also need a haircut. Yeah, it's getting a bit long. Might go down tomorrow for a birthday haircut. And and it's right opposite the pub. And so I'll just look at the pub and thinking I can't go in there. But I do have a pub at home, so that's no big deal to me. And actually, side note, down at my local hairdressers, if you go there on a Friday, they give out free beers where you get your haircut.
Well, therefore, you're technically not a patron, aren't you? You get free beer. So, anyway, let's read some of these participants out. Who's it? 182Q KFTW. I'm not sure if that's Kentucky. Is it I don't know, Fort Worth, Texas? Who knows? ADV Mark, who we got? Adzi, the PWC bloke in Australia. Andy 1234 aka our buddy Daniel Andrews down there in Victoria. Aaron Johnson, Blunt Machete, Bolts of 27, Brandon Fairley, CG, Chris Legend, Legendary, Christian Magno, Sign Studios. New, I haven't seen Sign Studios, so welcome. Flea, Colin Penfold. Oh, Corky's Bees. Corky's Bees is back. Dak Bloke, Dave 101270, Epic Flyer 889, who just gave the super chat. Front Toward Enemy. One of the greatest names here. Griffo 117, Harps 666, Hunting Victoria, Iron Regiment, Lockie McFarlane, Lone Wolf, M. Trundle, Mad Outdoors Adventures, Matt 1976, Matt Rumsey, Max P, Mr. Wonderful, Mr. John Boy 1965, My 7-Day Weekends. Yeah, I'd love to have a 7-day weekend. Long-term viewer, Neil Constantinou, Neil H, Nick Blackwell, Peter from the NSC, Phil Walter, Salty Skippy, Steed Plumbing. Welcome back, Steed Plumbing, or welcome to the first. I haven't seen you before. Stu O'Brien, Swede, Tankmeister, Tracer 123, Tube User C1, Victrix 300, Wayne Hobbs, and Zach M. Sorry if I've missed anyone else because you didn't get in on time, so I do apologize. And Angela. Just saw Angela's pop up as well. There you go.
Yes. Once again, thanks for joining us, everyone. And here's a funny thing from our friend Salty Skippy. Get your fucking papers. I can tell you that won't be happening.
No, hang on. I think you said get your fake pay, get yourself fakey papers.
Fakey papers. All right. Yeah, no, I don't need fake papers, and I don't need real papers. I'm not a number, and I don't need to be stamped on the head and get a tattoo on my wrist from the government. Thank you. There's one thing I refuse to do is show my papers.
Yeah, and we had good news from Sterren 93. He was the one that won his case with the NT against the police, against the government, which was good. So he went to someone's aid and offered self-defense with a firearm, and got charged for it, and got off, and got told he was an exemplary person and done the right thing. So well done, Sterren. Good to hear from you.
Yeah.
So don't be silly, Aaron. You underestimate the power of virtue signaling. Clearly, the Ukrainians can defend themselves with thoughts and prayers. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, it was a fantastic result for Sterren. And actually, in the coming weeks, guys, you want to stay tuned because we have a few articles from a few similar sort of things. Probably not as serious as what happened to Sterren, but about the NSC, they're actually taking up 2 more court cases to fight for people being basically discriminated and headhunted by the police in Victoria. So there's 2 very interesting cases. One I won't talk about yet, and the other one is the 75-year-old lady and had her guns taken off her by the police because of the left-wing neighbour. Complained, made up lies about her and all this, and we'll explain the full story probably in a week or so's time. But yeah, that was a pretty bad one, and so the NSC are taking them to court and going to once again show the police up and show what complete idiots they are. But do you think they really care? I don't, because they keep doing it, don't they? They lose time and time again, especially when the NSC is involved, and they just don't care. They just do it time and time again. And the reason is because they're not held accountable. The police officers are not held accountable, and there's no repercussions back on them for wasting taxpayers' money and the court's times, which is something that must change. And I'd like to see a politician step forward and try and do something about that.
Which one? Which one's going to do something about that?
Yeah, exactly.
None of them, most likely. None of them, unfortunately.
Yeah,
especially no one from any of the major parties. That's for sure. It'd be better if it'd be better if there was a law in place that, if you prosecute and you fail to prosecute, you've got to pay the other person's damages. Then we'd definitely have a lot less frivolous cases brought against people if, the taxpayer wasn't footing the bill. But, heaven forbid, they like getting access to our money and using all our money.
Yeah, exactly. And that comes back to the NSC. That is the sponsor for tonight. So now is the perfect time for you to go and join the NSC for your membership and your genuine reason for your firearms in Victoria, New South Wales, and Queensland. And you get help with, you get help with legal representation if you need it, especially in a few states where it's getting more and more common to get shafted by the authorities. And even if you win, sometimes they come back for a second bite of the pie. They're there to help you out, even with the smaller stuff. They will help you out with letters and everything if you're a member. So there is no better time to become a member. Everyone in this stream should be getting on to their friends and family that are firearm owners and getting them to become a member of the National Shooting Council. All their links in the description. And yeah, they're doing great things. Unlike other organizations, you can see how they are helping out the everyday shooter. They got a good track record now, overturning gun bans and helping the everyday shooter out when they get into a tight spot.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's good. Good on them. I mean, they're doing good work, which is fantastic. I mean, you don't see anyone else, taking on these cases and so forth. So good to. I just wish they had the money of some organisations that don't do anything. It'd be really nice to have a good war chest of money to be able to, foot these bills and continually take on some of these good cases. I mean, obviously they can only do as much as they can with the limited resources they have. So it's up to us to help them out to get some good results. And I think, yeah, that's really good.
Exactly. And I don't think I should say it, but after the show with Sterren, he did tell me he forgot to say something. And it was what the arresting police officer told him. And it was bone chilling. And it shows what pure filth that officer truly was. That he said to Sterren. If he wants to repeat what this scumbag cop said to him, he's welcome to say it. I guess it's up to him in the comment section. But it was unbelievable, wasn't it, Jason? What he actually said. It was bad, real bad. Yeah, no regard for human life. Basically, doesn't care.
Front to what enemy says, I've been on, I won't say it, a certain organisation's Facebook page touting the NSC looking for recruits. Well, if they've got people on there, they're probably commenting on their pages. Probably going to be hard to convert people like that are well and truly entrenched in the do nothing swamp. So, but listen, we can hope one day some of these organisations are really going to, do what they can. But I'd spend every last cent that I had if I was an organisation to, fight these issues. That's what people want. They've been screaming out for God knows how long. Listeners, I've been doing, podcast 10 years. People have been wanting, some of these organizations to stand up, but yeah, it just doesn't happen, unfortunately. Towing the line of gun bans. Should we be surprised? Should we be surprised?
Not exactly. And thank you to Iron Regiment for the donation. I'm happy to buy and sell gel blasters and Nerf guns to Nazi Azov, or whatever they call themselves over there, battalion. They're firearms, aren't they? Yeah, well, that's why one of the reasons why Putin actually went in is to wipe them out. From my understanding, they're a group who running a couple of the states on the border, and they are Nazi white supremacists. And they hate Russians, and they think Russians just mongrel breeds and all the typical white supremacist garbage that they go on about. And Putin had enough, and that was one of the reasons, apparently, why he went in was to wipe these guys out, because apparently the Ukraine government aren't doing anything about them. So and the funny thing about the jail blasters, this week a guy was sent to jail for shooting jail blasters, and they reckon he was doing big drive-by shootings, the media said. I don't know how many years he got in prison, but he actually got jail time for shooting a children's toy, a water toy, in public. So how ridiculous is that? Only in Australia, eh?
Yep. It's good to see Brandon's got his license. He's one of our new shooters now, which is good. So I think he's talking there to front to what I mean, talking about, getting a 22. Yeah, that's a fantastic start, man.
Well, hit me up. I'm selling a couple of my 22s. If you want a good 22, I'll give it to you cheap. Oh, The gun that you said was very expensive, I sold it last week. The second guy, bang, brought it and said it's actually cheap. So, yep,
I
my
just
pump
can't
pack,
believe someone paid, well, whatever it was, over $3,000 for a bloody
three,
Remington 7615. He's off, must be off his head.
3.5 grand. Very nice guy, an older guy. Um, and it was he just got his license and it was his first gun and he liked it. He said, I'd love to have a
Wow.
semi-auto to go hunting with, he said, but he obviously can't have that. And he said, this is the next best thing. It was all kitted out. It just wasn't the stock standard one. But yep,
Yeah.
he loved it.
Anyway, we'll get started on the topic because there's some interesting stuff here, actually.
Yes, we will.
But obviously, I got no real opinion on. I mean, all I know is that these fucking war is killing my stocks, man. It's killing me. I'm telling you.
Well,
Luckily I was in profit up until now, but that that profit pretty much got entirely wiped out in the last 6 weeks since shit started to hit the fan. So, bit disappointing, but it's a long-term investment. Yeah, but anyway, hopefully that will change soon. And there's a lot of internal politics. Everyone says Putin's bad. He is. I think he is bad. But there's also a lot of internal things that go back a long, 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 long time. NATO trying to push in. They're flexing their arms. There's no doubt about it. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I think we should always try and avoid, war. Peace talk should never break down. But it's just a real sad situation, isn't it, for everybody really involved? And yeah, I mean, and then you see a lot of stuff on the news that's been found out to be fake. I mean, that one, they spoke where the Ukrainians were on some island, and they said we're going to blow you up or whatever if you don't surrender, and they said F you, and then apparently they got killed. Well, that was all false, man. They actually got taken hostage. So, everyone was sharing that, thought that was real. So did I. I didn't share it, but I thought it was real too. But hey, there you go.
even the Ukrainian president, that the celebrities and the mainstream media are trying to turn into a superhero. He said no, they died and they'll get the Medal of Honor or something like that, something equivalent to that, and they're heroes forever in Ukraine. And here they were being filmed with the Ukrainian army, unloading a ship of goods and stuff, wasn't it? So complete joke,
Yeah, exactly.
absolute
So,
joke. Yeah,
and then there was one where they were saying they were taking like some mobile incinerator morgue around on a truck, but that was found to be a YouTube video back from like 2011 or something.
From a construction company burning rubbish.
Anyway, I tend to not get into geopolitics or international affairs too much, especially when it comes to war, because it's a lot deeper than most people think it is. So
yeah, we just stay out of it. Basically, now Morrison's just painted a target on our head. We just stay out of it. It's none of our business. Just stay out of it. Don't virtue signaling all these muppets and retards out there with the Ukrainian flag. It's just like, just get over yourself. What do you think you're going to achieve? You just look like a bloody lemon. Just get over it. So here we go. Australia will now fund weapons to supply to Ukrainian days after pleading non-lethal aid. So Morrison, of course, being the Liberals, this dopey idiot here, who we showed you last week, didn't even know how to use a welder without burning his eyeballs out. He is anti-gun, of course, for the overseas watchers. His political party is the ones that took all our guns off us and put us in this pitiful state and made Australia the laughing stock of the world and kicked off the entire left-wing woke sort of movement that is rampant in Australia today. So the Australian government will continue to stand for what is right when it comes to Ukraine. And he said today, after a vigil at St. Andrew's Ukrainian Church, of course, it's virtue signal at a church, we are already providing significant support in terms of non-lethal aid. I've just spoken to Defence Minister and we'll be seeking to provide whatever support we can for lethal aid through NATO partners and the United States and the United Kingdom. So basically the three, part of the group of the major woke feminist guys, and Morrison's one of those, along with Biden and Trudeau and Boris, they just just all the same. So they're all anti-gun, but now under pressure, they want guns. And the president of Ukraine said, "Don't we want guns and ammunition?" When Biden said to him, "We can get you out of the country," and he said, "No, I'm staying here. We need guns and ammunition. Give them to us." So basically, if they'd taken all their guns out of Afghanistan, they could have sent them over there, but he gave them to the Taliban and the armed up the enemy instead, didn't he?
Always funny how someone made it's not a funny meme by any stretch that they gave 70 million for guns to the Ukraine, but apparently they're only going to give $1,000 to flood victims. I mean, what's $1,000? I mean, it might pay your excess if you have insurance, but
Yeah.
that's really about it. I mean, I think $70 million, plus would probably be
Well,
better suited. Do you guys think it'd be better suited to, helping out? I mean, of all the stuff we've gone through with business, and now the floods, and we had fires 2 years ago, can we really be afford to be giving away $70 million, especially when, same thing. I mean, I don't want to hear an argument. I used to hear this all the time about the AR-15s, even shooters, organizations in Australia. Oh, do we really need that? Yes, we do. Debate finished. No need to ever talk about whether you need ARs or anything. Again, I posted one on the Facebook page just tonight, and people are still still asking the question, do we really need them? Well, I think this is your answer. I mean, again, if someone ends up attacking us here in Australia, what sort of hope do we have without the help of the US, New Zealand, Great Britain, Canada, New Zealand, etc. We've got no chance otherwise, pretty much.
Yep, exactly. Yep, there is. This is the perfect way. And if this happened to us here, instead of disarming us, do you think they would do the same thing here? Do you think they'd hand out Steyr orgs that our army uses to all the civilians to defend Australia? Do you think they'd do that? Because I don't think they would, because they know after it's all finished, they would never get them back. Who the hell's going to surrender that stuff if we were ever invaded? So yeah, be interesting to see. And yeah, talking about the $1,000, what an absolute insult. I've got to get a whole new driveway, which is worth about 10 grand because it's all washed away from these floods. And that $1,000 is only half of my insurance excess. If they will even come to the party, which doesn't sound like they're going to replace my driveway that's all washed away.
How'd that grading go? So that's all gone now again.
No, it's all the second half of the driveway that I didn't get, that I didn't do because that was like 10
How's
odd
it holding
thousand.
up with all the rain with what they did earlier,
Yeah,
in the
not
year?
bad. Not bad. It's come up good. It's still going good. Apart from the weeds are starting to grow through, but yeah, it's held up in the rain. But the bottom half of my driveway, about 150 meters, is all gone basically, and it needs to be all done properly. And it's about 10 grand. And the insurance companies have said they don't think they're going to cover it. And mine excess is 2 grand. So Scott Morrison, your $1,000 doesn't even pay for my excess. And plus, I've unable to go to work for a week and a half now.
Just goes to show how hypocritical they are. What is it? The US did the same thing, eh? They said, no, we're not. Like Australia got invaded, and they said, no, we're not going to get involved. I mean, what would we do, man? Who would we have? Maybe some
Yeah.
British troops, maybe some Canadians, maybe some New Zealand. They're only fairly small armies themselves. You got someone like China; they got millions and millions in their army. It's just, what would you do? I didn't realize we possibly could be this vulnerable. But I mean, obviously.
Exactly.
Russia doesn't like the advancement of NATO into, some of these bordering countries. So interesting state of affairs.
Apparently, they just signed the forms to join NATO out of the blue. Ukraine have signed the forms to join, and they say we'll be working through channels, and the most effective way to do that is providing support in the area. Old Dopey Morrison said, but Ukraine's not a poor country, really. They got a lot of gas lines and all that sort of stuff. Well, look at Biden. He was filtering all his money through it, and his junky meth addict son was on the board there of the energy board for some reason. And so they're not a poor country. So maybe before giving our money away that Australian citizens need, how about looking into their finances first and seeing if they really do need it?
Yeah, I mean, it's bad. You got a couple of super chats there.
Oh, yep. I'll have to get through those. Yeah, it's just unreal. Yeah, it's our money. People are finding it really hard, especially the last few weeks. Again, on top of the China attack of the flu we had, they're finding it a bit hard. And now the floods have hit them, and there we go, another $70 million gone that could have gone towards its own citizens. And on top of the absolute waste of money they send to other countries as well every year, and they're still sending them front towards any a well-armed militia as reserves in a country is the best defense. Exactly what America has. That's why no one will attack America. The only way America will ever get attacked if it is from the sky with nukes or other conventional weapons. No country is dumb enough to put boots on the ground. Maybe in California and New York and Seattle, but they don't want those states because they're shitholes. So, but they will never attack boots on the ground. Here, they could just stomp all over us. I read something a few years ago that they were only, Australia has enough armed forces to defend 20 kilometres for 20 minutes and it's all over. 20 kilometres of beachfront and for about 20 minutes and we're depleted, we're finished. And so, yeah, people know that. China know that. They just fired that laser towards our plane last week. To me, is an act of war. They fired a laser at one of our Air Force planes. I want to know, Morrison, why didn't you sink that ship into oblivion? Just rained absolute hellfire on top of that boat and tell China, do it again, we'll bomb your next boat. You start firing on.
It's
To me, it
hard
doesn't
when
matter if it's.
they've got tens of they got what I speak about 6 million or something in their army, possibly even more. I think it's a lot more than that. So, I mean, how big? I mean, Ukraine's only got 44 million people. So again, not a very big country either.
No, exactly. But yeah, it
And the
doesn't matter.
Russians have 144 million to
Well,
Ukraine's 44 million. That's what they're saying.
well, it just showed how weak Morrison and our government is. Didn't even no, they should have retaliated. To me, you fire a laser into one of our planes, that's provoking us. Send them a message. Do it again. We'll bomb you again. You got to at least stand up for yourself. To me, that was weak as piss. Andy, can't see
Here's
how
one
much.
here. The Vietnam has apparently the biggest, which is crazy, 10 million. North Korea, 7.7 million. Korea, 6.7. India, 5 million. China, 4 million. So it wasn't far off that. Russia, 3,568,000. So that's a lot of people, man. That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah,
Brazil, Taiwan, and Pakistan round out the top 10. But I mean, you think even Pakistan, 1,495,000. I mean, what's the Australia? I remember 10 years ago, they had maybe 10, 12 years ago. Again, last time I checked, was about 25,000 full time Australians with about 10 to 15,000 reservists. So let's say 45,000. I'll try and search Australian Army size, what it's gone up in 10 years. But I mean, we wouldn't last very long, put it that way.
Yeah. No, thank you, Andy, for the donation. Can't see how my Bolt Action 22 could stand up to the Chinese drones. No, exactly. But
yeah, so it's gone up. So yeah, about 59,000 permanent now to 28,000. So it has increased in about 10 to 15 years. But
and how many of those are boots on the ground? Most of them are admin or engineers or mechanics or cleaners or cooks. So how many with a rifle in their hand? Yeah.
Well, for 60,000. So yeah, we wouldn't get far. Plus 30,000. So it's about 90,000 all up now. It's basically doubled in that 15-year span since I checked it and was in back then. But yeah, it's doubled since then.
And thank you, Rod Fitzpatrick, for the $10 donation. Appreciate that. Well, another report that came out a few years ago, some reporter did. I wish I'd kept it. And it had about if the world turned to shit, well, Australia turned to shit, right? And it was every man for himself sort of scenario. The army, the police would last 3 days. They'll try and do their job for 3 days, then they'll just take their guns home and walk off because they figure out, well, no point keeping law and order. We have to go home and look after our family, which is understandable. Our family, we got to look after them. So that lasts about 3 days. The army would last between 2 to 3 weeks before the soldiers walked off and decided I've got to go defend my look after my family. And the only reason because of that was because the army get fed. So it's
Yeah, people saying, yeah, Biden might not definitely come to Australia's aid as some salty skipper. Yeah, you never know, man. Would they really want to defend us? I don't know. Maybe they say they would. Western countries, so maybe they feel like they have to. Hopefully, countries, like that, would come to our aid. Canada, yes, and New Zealand, Great Britain, etc. But I wonder who else would come to our aid. Let us know. Who do you think would come to our aid? Put it in the comments box. I'd love to hear where you think people would come from to defend us. I mean, obviously, some Commonwealth countries, I hope would, but to what extent? To what extent would they help us? If they're a full arsenal of their army, 20% of them, 50% of them, be very interesting, wouldn't it? I mean, I hope it never happens, but it'd be interesting to find out.
Rod Fitzpatrick, look at all the Masonic symbols in that place. Goes to show he's been smoking. Yeah, well, there's always that thing that people can come back to, Illuminati and New World Order and all that. Where one of the Ukrainian chicks on there were talking about the New World Order and all that sort of stuff this week. I sort of switch off when it comes to all that. I just worry about my own patch. I've got my own problems right now. I'm basically not getting flooded. So, I couldn't care less about the New World Order and all that sort of stuff right now. But yeah, the Masons are definitely everywhere.
Steren made a good point. He goes, we made a mistake when we thought the UK would come to our aid during the Second World War. So, President Joe Biden can't even remember us. That's from Stan, long-range pensioner Mance. Yeah, he probably doesn't even know we even exist. Exactly.
Oh,
and
mate,
he said even the Tasmanians could take us over. Probably could. Yeah, wouldn't surprise me.
Biden wouldn't even know if he changes nappy in the morning, that guy.
So, yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, so, and it goes on here. Sorry, we'll go back on. Australia has imposed sanctions on Russia, including some that will impact all 339 members of Russian Parliament. For a member, Maris Payne announced sanctions against 8 Russian oligarchs, whatever that is, close to Putin yesterday. And earlier in the week, travel bans and targeted financial sanctions were put in 8 members of the Security Council of the Russian Federation. So basically, they're going after the diplomats and slapping them on the wrist. Of course, they won't care. But you think Putin and diplomats give a shit about what Australia does? They know how weak we are, how pathetic we are. They've been looking at that, as I said, they'll be looking at that Russian attack, that German attack. No, sorry, not German. It's Chinese attack on the plane this week and saw we did absolutely nothing. We just held our dicks and didn't do a single thing. They'd be looking at that and think, okay, well, they're not going to do anything with that. Let's see how far we can push Australia even more. It's just, they've seen how weak we are, and through Scott Morrison, basically.
Yeah. Funny you can try and sanction, like I said, Russia, but oops, sorry guys, my thing just made a noise then. It's interesting that he couldn't do anything with the rogue the rogue states, but he tries to put these sanctions on Russia. But when it comes to Australia, I can't get involved. Cannot get involved, guys. Sorry. Well, that's no excuse. We've only got March, April, May, not long to go. 8, 9, 10 weeks to the election. So definitely not long at all.
Mate, if that was your thing making a noise, you better go see a doctor.
No, that was just I had a virus last week, guys, and I got taken out, and they bloody hacked my computer. So I had to do a full wipe, and then now I've got to turn off. I'm trying to turn off these bloody notifications, but bloody Windows 10 anyway.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting, guys. What do you think? If we're invaded by China or Indonesia, which is more than likely be more likely scenario, do you think our government will hand out Steyr orgs to all the civilians, or the brave civilians that will actually stand up and fight for their country? Lay it down in the comments. Let's have a let's see who thinks our government would Australia. I know what I think, and it'll be a big fat no.
Yeah, I mean, man, what's a lot of stuff going on in the world at the moment. I'm not really, surprised. I mean, Fur Eater, I'm not going to read your comment out, Fur Eater. No, it was
Oh,
just
is that?
a thing. Come
Not
on,
an
they're just saying, what were you looking at? Someone said a naughty site, and I said no, I wasn't looking at any naughty sites. Unfortunately, just a notification came up.
Yeah,
Peter said we're gone. Unfortunately, yeah. Well, let's hope it doesn't happen. That's the worst thing we need right now,
Yeah, no, friend Vegas in the US. Sadly, no. Yeah, exactly. Even people in America know we're pretty much stuffed. Man, it's just amazing. You know what it's always amazed me was Australians who complain about Americans' gun laws and everything. They just don't understand. They don't understand the freedoms they actually have. And I try and explain it to them. And you know what you always get? Oh, go live over there. Yeah, if I could, yeah. Yeah, if you want to pay my way and get over there and find me a job, 'cause you need to be sponsored to be over there, yeah, I'd move tomorrow in a heartbeat. If I get a good paying job that's paying equivalent to here, yeah, I'd move over there. And they just don't understand the freedoms and the rights that they have over there compared to what we don't have here. It's just unbelievable.
Mm.
And it's just not on the gun thing. It's just not the guns either. It's everything.
Mm. Well, yeah, I'm interested to find out. I mean, let us know in the comments. Who are you guys going to be voting for at the election? I mean, I keep seeing this amongst normal Facebook stuff too. Just general comments from people, and they're like, "Oh, but we can't have Albo, so we're going to have to vote for ScoMo." And it's like, what? But yeah, people are actually really scared of Albo. Yeah, I think he's a communist. That's a fair call, I would say. But also, I'm on the conservative side, and I think the treachery of the Liberal Party just cannot go unpunished politically. I mean, that's how I feel about it. So, I wish they were doing a good job, but they took our guns off us. They're not doing a good job. He didn't do a good job during the pandemic. So again, yeah, I really hope they get smashed. And people got upset with the same thing happened in Canada that Trudeau got back in. Yeah, he's a dirtbag as well. But I mean, again, you can't reward stupidity just because there's no one else to vote for or because the other guy might get in. That needs to be a hard lesson that Scott Morrison should learn. I mean, they're already saying his goose is cooked politically anyway. So, at the end of the day, I mean, if I don't really care who gets in because I don't think anything will really change. But the worst case scenario is Labor gets in and they have no power because they're going to be ruled up by the minor parties. I think that's the best scenario that could happen. And I don't think Scott Morrison should be rewarded for a shit out prime ministership. They say, we don't spend money. What are we, $1.3 trillion in debt right now? Crazy, and sending $70 million to another country. I mean, again, I sympathize with them, but at the end of the day, we got our own shit going on here that we need to spend money on. We got all the stuff going on with the fires. We're still recovering from that. Pandemic, people out of jobs, businesses, and this clown wants to just fritter our money away. But we're conservative. We're defending the bank balance. Come on, guys. Really.
How about pulling his head in and doing something about fuel prices? BP today just pulled out of their deal from people going, oh, thank God for that. But it's virtue signaling underneath the guise of they're going to lose money. BP and oil companies do not pull out of deals if it's not a financial benefit to them. They've pulled out of Russia. BP Australia has pulled out of Russia, and of the tune of like billions of dollars they're going to lose. Who's making it up? Today, fuel topped over $2 a litre. So who do you think is going to pay for it? We're going to pay for it. So guys, forget about your hunting trips. Who's going to afford to drive 14 hours to go hunting? It's not going to happen. Yeah. It's going to affect in every part of your life. So Dopey Morrison needs to say, hey, we're going to cut all this tax out of the fuel, bring fuel down, maybe put restrictions on oil companies in Australia and petrol stations. You can't charge over this. We'll set the price. The government should be setting the price for fuel, and and not the oil companies in this fluctuation. It should be, fuel here should be 70 cents a litre maximum. from what I've been reading up on. It's just every hand in the pie, and the oil and the BPs and the Shells and all the big companies just taking their slice of the pie, and the government just shafting us with their big cut. So that's what he should be doing. It'd be easy to do. Just rework the entire
Yeah,
energy
but he's not
sector.
going to do that because they lose, was it $18 billion in taxes every year? Was it 45 cents per litre is tax? So again, I just wouldn't be voting for them. Like, where are people asking questions about Labor and Liberal about fuel prices? I just say they're not doing anything on fuel prices. I'm not voting for you. End of story. It's not that hard.
Exactly.
People are saying UAP to vote for, Liberal Democrats, United Australia Party. Steve, was it? No, not Steve. Who was it? Sorry. Said, all freedom parties, label them. Oh, sorry, front toward enemy. Yep, that's what I'm doing. Every freedom party in obviously most important to the least important, however they see fit. Another one for UAP, LDP. So a lot of different, a few people got a few different ideas there, which is good. I mean, this one, normally for me, I mean, I may speak for me, it'd be about guns 100% of the time, all the time. But this year, I'm thinking both are going to have a little bit of a thing on my list. So, any freedom party is going to, and pro-gun party is going to be number one, and then any freedom parties after that. So,
Yeah, exactly. And
I just don't people aren't, questioning, like, they'll still vote Labor and Liberal, and the fuel prices are smashing them hard. They're on their knees, and still vote for them. Like, I just can't believe any of these two parties would even get a single vote at the election based on what they've done. But again, there's a lot of stupid people out there that will still do stupid things and vote for stupid people. So you can't help idiots. That's why I think voting should not be mandatory. We don't want idiots voting. That's what I reckon. But
exactly, and
energy prices as well. Dan Jack brings up a good one as well. I mean, doing nothing about energy prices, and still vote Labor and Liberal. They do crazy, man.
Exactly. And I just want to quickly thank Epic Flyer. If we got nuked and invaded by China, weapons licensing will still be knocking on the door for gun safe checks. Well, it's one of the stories we're coming up very soon in the coming weeks about that. The NSC is going to be fighting for someone who had a safe check and he got shafted big time. And our friend Brandon, if I were to inquire about 22 zone, should I contact you? Also, I'm still waiting for my certificate right now. Yep, send me a message on Instagram, and I'll talk to you there and tell you what I'm selling. Definitely.
Sorry, I just had to. This guy, man, he's got a stupid name, and he says, "Put me in timeout because I had an opinion." Effing wanker. That's because his name's Dick. He's been posting crap for the last 20 minutes, man. I let you go long enough. He's posting crap, dude. So
what was his name?
Dickhead.
Yeah, he was on the meet and greet show I had a few weeks ago.
Well, he's just been posting crap, unfortunately. So sorry, man, but I let it go for long enough, man. I mean, have a decent discussion without swearing all the time and that sort of thing. So if you can do that, you'll stay. If not, we'll shit can you out of here, man. Simple as that.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. What do you think, guys? Put me in timeout because I had an opinion. Well, who are you talking to, mate? Tell us.
Me, because I'm the one that did it. So.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, if you've got something genuine to add, happy to hear it. If you're just going to post crap and be swearing all the time for no reason, well, I'll shaft you out of here, man. Simple as that.
Exactly. And remember, from next week on, I become a grumpy old man, so this live chat's probably going to change a bit. So I'm officially old next week, so I'm going to be a grumpy old man, and it'll be sayings like back in my day.
But anyway,
I'm not really not going to put up with much at all.
Most people have got different opinions on who they're going to vote for, which is good. Just remember, stick to the freedom ones, and never forget. And
remember, the run-of-the-mill so-called fake pro-gun parties, they're not pro-gun. Once again, we'll play you the video from one of them. Then they're supporting the gun bans and going all goo-goo over John Howard. So remember,
I hate to say it. I mean, I really hate to say it, but again, I've got to be thinking. I'm thinking of the pro-gun first, pro-gun, pro-freedom, and then parties from there that are pro-freedom. Yeah, we're not going to get the best of it. I mean, I don't like what One Nation said when they got found out with the NRA stuff. But I've got to admit they're going to have to be at least up there on my list. I mean, over Liberal, Labor, Greens, and Nationals, because at least they're pro-freedom. definitely don't like their stance on firearms when they got found out and they sold us down the river. Don't like that at all. But again, this is one of those odd, probably once in a lifetime elections where it's a bit of both. It's a bit of both. So, it's just a bit of both. We're just going to make sure that we're trying to do the best we can. It's not going to be perfect, this election, of course. But again, if you just avoid Labor, Liberal, Greens, Nationals, we're halfway there. So, and Colin mentioned Malcolm Roberts. I interviewed Malcolm Roberts, seemed like a nice guy, but, they also didn't have the gall to back themselves when they got found out they got busted by that NRA sting, meaning someone from the NRA. I just don't like that. If you're gonna get caught doing something, at least own it and try and defend it and try and do something instead of going, just completely backflipping and saying we're never going to change the gun laws when you're meeting people from the NRA and saying all these things that were caught on camera. How they got caught with this person that introduced them is beyond me. Turned out to be a lefty, but anyway, that's what happened.
Set up. Tube 6 said, "Where's the band hammer?" I'm actually using that band hammer. If you follow me on my other channel, Building Stuff Australia, you'll see me actually using it, building a table. So I use that band hammer. I'm going to build an awesome big mallet band hammer and do all carvings into it and that. It'll be hanging on the back wall. He's been banned, guys. That dickhead's gone. He started carrying on again. So boom, he's out of here. Not going to put up.
Gave him an opportunity and just started mouthing off again. So, you're nice to him. You give him an opportunity to say the right things and still want to start mouthing off. But anyway, so Josh D said, who's the most gun-friendly party? I mean, I've said it before. People are going to say, bias, but, the LDP, but Liberal Democrats. But, on a caveat to that, I mean, since David Leyonhjelm left, I think they've dropped the ball a bit on their gun advocacy. He was one of the best. Most people know that. No one comes close to him being able to discuss things, especially on TV and radio. But ever since he's gone, they need to definitely increase their advocacy for gun owners. I do like them, but they definitely need to increase their advocacy in regards to the firearms related stuff. I know they said some good stuff last week about duck hunting, but at the end of the day, like most of these parties, they're minor parties with sort of no power. So tough one, very tough. So, but I do like the LDP. Yes, I do like them.
Yeah, the LDP is one to go for, but I'm going to really do the research because the first time ever it's going to be not about guns for me. It's going to be about freedoms. Anyone that's going to just say no more of the woo flu garbage, it's going to be all gone. I think that's the road we're going to have to start going down. Stop the discrimination. Stop the mandate. Stop all that sort of stuff. A party that's going to say that and stand by it is a party that I think we should vote for. Because in all realistically, and we talk about this a lot, Jason, in all reality, no matter who's in, and I can tell you now, even the apart from the fake pro-gun parties, but the other minor parties who are pro-gun, nothing's going to change with the guns. We're never going to get our semis back. We're never going to be able to go hunting with pistols. We're never going to have proper gun freedom in this country. And it's just a horrible reality. We've been doing this for 10 years. Jason's been doing it for like 12 years. And we've done all the letters. We've done everything. And unfortunately, no matter what party's in, they're not going to change because basically, apart from a handful of party members, which is basically a few from what I can see is the LDP, is they're all talk and they won't do anything that will jeopardize their jobs. And giving us gun freedoms back is the quickest way to lose your big, fat, stinking paycheck that we pay for.
Blunt Machete said Aaron Stonehouse in WA. Yeah, we had him on the show. This one, I think, had him on the show.
Yeah.
He was pretty good, but again, is not in Parliament anymore. Pretty much the entire quote-unquote pro-gun parties in WA got completely wiped out at the last election. So, I don't know if that's a sentiment towards the pro-gun parties. I don't know. I don't know why people didn't turn out to vote for them. Well, really, I would have only voted for one, but the complete wipeout in WA, whether that will happen amongst other states coming up in the future, whether, the LDP guys hold their positions in Victoria. They've done, they're out there in Victoria on the stairs, being out there protesting. They're with the people. They're doing lots of interviews. Yeah, if I was in Victoria, mate, for what they've done, those guys, often at their own personal detriment, the LDP would be my pick in Victoria, without a doubt. We wouldn't even consider anyone else in Victoria right now.
No.
And again, because we had other parties, pro-gun parties, voting with Daniel Andrews. So it goes without saying, definitely not. I wouldn't be voting for any party that was even remotely, in the pocket of Daniel Andrews, or voted for anything to do with these omnibus bills and so forth in Victoria. So, but anyway, your vote, your choice. If you want to waste it on someone that voted with Daniel Andrews, go right ahead. Your vote. You can do whatever you want with it.
Exactly. M. Trundle, thank you very much for the ammo fund. Appreciate that. And Josh, this is a comment I get quite a bit. We talk about this. Well, Azza and Jason, sounds like you need to start your own political party, Shooting Stuff Australia party. Well, I cannot be a politician, guys. I got morals in life, and I can't just stand there and blatantly lie to people's faces. Because I got morals in life, I can never ever be a politician. So that's why. It's that simple.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, what do you do? I guess it's just got to try and make a difference where you can. I mean, we've been doing 25 years since the guns were taken, and we still don't have, a good, how come in 25 years we just don't have, people running across Parliament that are pro-gun from everywhere, from all different parties? How come we've been only be able to get, if you look at it now, there's probably only really about 9, 10 you consider to be pro-gun outside the major parties, obviously, that we've got. And really probably 70% of them are not really pro-gun per se. So what hope do you have? In 20 years, we've got basically 10. And with the WA wipeout, that was reduced again. So, yeah, if you guys know the answer, I'm more than happy to hear it. Hence why we started saying that this was not going to be won at a, political level. It's going to be won hopefully at a legal level, or at least keep trying at a legal level anyway, because the political level is just not really doing anything right now.
Exactly. And Jack Daniels, my favorite drink. We have too many shooting groups. Yes, we do. We all we really need is the NSC, because as far as I can see, they're the only ones that have a track record. Get on the website, links in the description. Yes, they do sponsor the show, but they would not be sponsoring the show if we did not agree with what they had to say or their message. If they were one of these other organizations, I would not accept them for a sponsor on the show, because they don't stand up for our rights in my eyes. That's my opinion, but they are the only organization we actually need. We don't need the other ones at all for anything whatsoever. If we had the NSC only, we wouldn't have to belong to a range or go to a range to keep our guns, because that wouldn't exist. We wouldn't need that, because they would make sure we wouldn't need that.
Jack Daniels says, we're too divided. Listen, it's a tough one, because people say that they might not like the commentary that we're saying, but again, we haven't done anything wrong. We're just drawing attention to the things that they're doing, and I'm sure they don't like that. I can completely understand that, but it doesn't mean we are the people that are in the wrong. Like, people always get upset with that. So, you said something about a party that I like. Well, okay, why am I at fault for that? Why? Because
why are you
that's
insecure?
True. Yeah, they get upset about it. This is almost like with guns, man. Same thing. Well, I might have said this gun maybe wasn't the best, or I had a bad experience. But if someone owns that gun, well, they see it as a personal blight upon them, when it's not at all. It's like, go speak to them about it. They're the ones that have done the TV station interviews, the radio station interviews, saying we don't want, people shouldn't have semi-autos. And then when I draw attention to that, somehow I'm at fault. But I don't get that mentality. But, simple people will think simple things. So, again, go back and speak to them and say, why aren't you advocating for me and our interests on getting our fight? Otherwise, they're useless. Then there's no point to their existence. None. So why bother with them, And we've seen that by the limited to zero, in some states, zero change on them being in Parliament. Some even in part for, half a century. And, they're still claiming to be supporting of shooters, which is fantastic. But again, speaking doesn't equal results.
It's all lip service. They take the money from, there was one politician who just took $100,000 from an organisation. For what? For what? You know, what are you going to do for that 100 grand? Now that's members' money that could be used fighting. That organisation shouldn't be around. We don't need them. You don't need that organisation. As NSC said to us live on air a few weeks ago, they would never give a politician 100 grand because that could be used fighting gun laws, gun bans, and getting people's licenses back, not lining the pockets of a politician.
Yeah.
That's not going to make any difference. And here's Aaron, I think a lot of Australians have a craving for honesty because they have been starved of it for so many years. Exactly. And I get knocked down. There was a post about me this week of some shit kicker complaining about what I say. It's because I'm honest. And once again, just like what Jason said, he doesn't like when he is showing up. And it's the same thing. They all complain. All these guys complain about the same thing. One, I've been banned. Well, you're banned because you're a dickhead. It's that simple. You're a fuckwit and a dickhead. So when you start abusing people, I've only ever banned people from the pages if they've started abusing other people in the pages in the comments. They get banned. The other thing is, oh, they don't like my opinion. Well, your opinion normally comes down to get banned is you're being an absolute dickhead and abusive to other people. So I just get rid of you. It's that simple. But apart from that, I don't give if you're gonna. I don't care if you whatever you say. I'm not. You don't get banned for having a different opinion. It doesn't bother me in the slightest.
Well, there you go. There's a perfect one there. I mean, Tracy, because I don't get, obviously it's tough. It's a bit of a joke too, but I don't go take it personally when as a bag's tick is the best guns ever. Well, exactly. But see, a lot of people do. People did it to me with the old Triton. You know, it's 5 years sitting outside. I haven't had a single issue with it. Touch wood since I've had it, except a rear shock absorber, thank God. But, you know, yeah, people say, yeah, it's a shit car. They give me shit all the time. It's like, I don't take it personally. I only probably take it. It gets annoying after a while. That's probably the only thing. Like, yeah, okay, I've heard it 100 times now. You know, yeah, I've heard it a million times on Facebook. You know, you're not original. You know, it's not funny any longer. But I don't take it personally because somebody said something. It's just like, go speak to them. They're the ones that said this. Why are you upset that I just drew attention to this poor performance? But anyway, that's human nature. I mean, you can't change a lot of people. A lot of simple people think like that. So just is what it is, really. But, you know, I'd love to see a difference, you know, some changes. And otherwise, again, what's the point of a pro-gun party if they're, you know, turning into, you know, Nationals 2.0, you know?
Yep, exactly. Thank you, Iron Regiment, for the donation. Whilst West was building gender-neutral toilets, Russia built hypersonic missiles. Yep, and that's something we talked about today. Well, not this topic, but the whole thing about wokeness. Now, I used to make videos for a gun importer. They have not been a sponsor of the show, of the live stream, but a gun importer. Years ago, I made videos for them. And I was up front, this is a video made for this person. And they used the videos as well. Well, they would not come back on board because what they said to me was, I'm not family friendly. They accused me of being sexist and they accused me of not giving a good representation of females and a certain religious group of people. So I had an argument for all of that. Starters, shooting in Australia is not a family-friendly sport because there is no they don't promote it for families. And I said to this manager of the firearms importer, I said, you should be promoting it to families. Why aren't you promoting it? It's not up to me to promote shooting to families. You bring these guns in, you're hyping your money up, and I can tell you now, they're slapping on close to $1,000 per gun when it comes into Australia. But they didn't. They had no comeback for that, and that's why they'd never deal with me again because I'm not family friendly and I don't promote a good thing for females. So any females out there, do you think I'm bad for you guys? Tell me now.
Just don't get involved with him, that's for sure. Here we go. It's a good one. This is actually a good one. It's a good one we can address. Bit of negativity, but I guess he's saying about us too. So Jay Sport says, it'd be great if you both were a bit more positive. I'm not a troll, but this show is consistently negative. Well, that's fine. But I mean, what would you like us to talk about, dude? I mean, tell us in the comments what you'd like us to talk about. Gun bans, are they positive? I mean, we talk about gun bans, we get lots of views. We don't talk about gun bans. We do the positive stuff, like what guns. Yeah, nobody gives a shit. Nobody watches it. No one wants to learn how to reload. Nobody doesn't want to talk about hunting properties. No one wants to talk about how to hunt, because we've seen that with the reflection, the amount of views. Yet we start talking about gun bans, and everybody wants to watch it. But I mean, we've been doing this a long time, man. If you can tell us what the positives are about organizations not acting, well, some not acting, obviously, the political parties not defending our rights and rolling over. I mean, what do you want us to do? I just don't understand it. I really don't. I mean, I'm happy to be positive if you tell us what there is to be positive about. Yeah, I'd really like to hear that. But yeah.
Yep, exactly. Oh, you're frozen. Okay, yeah, go back. No, I agree totally. We could talk about we'd love to talk more about guns and reloading. We did a reloading show a few weeks ago. No one watched it, but the comments I get from majority of people, private messages, hundreds of them, and I'm sorry guys, I can't reply to them all because there's so many of them. My time is limited, but they all say
I got a funny one here from Josh D. Let me say one thing. He goes, it's like the old show called Good News, and it didn't last long because nobody wanted to hear it.
Yeah.
Well, I hate to say it. It's true. You know what I mean? Like, going quickly, when we talk about the podcast stuff, I had a very, very popular one, Straight Shooting, most popular show that we did. Everyone loved it. A few people didn't like it, I guess, because it was just in your face and it just told people this is the bad ones, including calling out people in the shooting industry that weren't doing the right thing or saying stupid things. Yet when I stopped doing it, people said, continue with the hunting stuff. So I did. No one gave a shit. No one cared, but, it just goes to show. I hate it, but that's the reality of the situation, unfortunately. Like, it's hard to be positive. Exactly. And what's he said it here? I'm sorry. It's hard to be positive when shooters are the most oppressed citizens in the country. Exactly. And then we have people on our side, not getting paid and not doing anything, man. Where's the positives? Guns are good. We love going hunting. We love shooting. We love the friendship of it. We love friends we've made. That's awesome. But, the reality is it's just, this is the real discussion. We're just trying to be real, man. Like, no point, talking about things that people just don't care about and are not interested in. I wish things were a lot more positive. I wish they were.
Oh. Yes, so do I. We do bring you the positives as well. Like when Sterren stood up to the police, the help with the NSC, and he got his gun licenses back. We brought that whole show. That's a very positive show. And with these new cases that NSC are taking up, I can tell you now, there's going to be some very positive shows coming up on those, because their whole court case for the police and the government will fall apart. But I was about to say, Jason, before, was the amount of people who write to us and tell us that this is the only place they get this information on bans and what's coming up and news articles. And they actually say, and they name the other channel, that they don't do anything for us. And this is the only place we can get this information from each week. And they're grateful that we actually give them this information, because half the stuff we talk about, they would never know. Like half these gun bans. Like we did shows on the gun bans, especially the WA gun bans. 21 guns or something banned. The amount of messages I got after that, people saying, geez, we would never know these gun bans were going through. We'd never know that this gun, I think we talked about a pistol that was going to be banned in New South Wales. I had pistol shooters messaging me saying, thank you so much for bringing this to my attention. I own this pistol, and no organization has talked about this pistol being banned. And I own it, and what do I do? So we're trying to bring information to you guys. We don't want to be negative every week, but we're just trying to bring the latest information, and when it comes to hand, in the firearms community in Australia.
Tank Meister, I think it's more about reality than negativity. Yeah, exactly. This is a place, and Jack says, this is a place for robust discussion and gripes. Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're happy to read those ones. He's not happy that it's negative. But again, it comes back to exactly what I just said before, that, again, we bring you the news, and for some reason we said something they don't like, or it's negative again. Well, again, take it to that, whatever it may be that we spoke about that you didn't like, organization, pro-gun political party, whatever it is. Go talk to them about it and say, why aren't you ... instead of, getting on our doorstep and saying, well, it's just negative, just telling you the facts. I mean, then, hey, it's like news on TV. They not 95% of it's negative. Then before they sign off at the end, there's always a feel-good story to finish off at the end of the 30-minute segment. Every single time without fail, it's negative, 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 and then good news. Because that's true, as what you said before, but good news doesn't rate, unfortunately. Well, hopefully it does if we ever get our guns back. That will definitely rate. But yeah.
Exactly. And what you got to do, guys, is if you're still, I'm not saying you're dumb, but if you're dumb enough to belong to the other organizations, you ought to be going to them before you fork out more money and say, hey, what have you done for me lately? What have you done? Where have you fought? Whose gun licenses you got back? What have you done? Have you overturned any bans? Here's some examples. The NSC, go have a look. This is what they've done. Why haven't you done this? If they haven't got a good enough answer, if they and going, oh, we're doing this, please prove that to me, and then I'll sign up. If they can't, which they may not be able to, boom, see you later. I'm going to go belong to these guys.
Yep. And, Victory said we don't have to explain ourselves, but you just thought it was might as well, because it's probably just tries to bring it into, a context of, people just don't like, good news. And, we wish there was more good news. We wish we could say these other organizations were really kicking goals. That'd be, our ultimate scenario. I mean, you can only imagine if we had some of the funding of other organizations, exactly what could be done. So again, don't get upset with us. Go talk to them and say, hey, I pay my money. I wouldn't join them anyway. But hey, if you're still a member, like I am of some of them, unfortunately, I have a 5-year membership, but I say, what are you guys doing? If you don't get an answer, then you just put your money elsewhere. It's really not that hard, And if you haven't joined other, like someone like the NSC at the moment, well, what are you doing?
Exactly. Yeah, it's there's got to be very interesting times coming up, and for the hopefully people pull their head in, and non-gun owners as well pull their head in about what's going to come up with the government. And if for some miracle, which I don't think it's going to happen because of the preferences, that one of the big parties don't get in, this is our biggest push. And the organizations, if it's hypothetical, if they do get in some of the fringe parties and they get in power, which would be fantastic, this is our chance for the organizations to jump on it and push. Right, this is what we would like to see. Now that these cronies are out, 25 years of depression and discrimination and hate towards gun owners, this is how we want to move forward. Are you going to help us with that?
Some guy, Jason, that's a good name, by the way. Keep the show the way it is, don't change a thing. Then Jan says, on a positive note, am I the only one who thinks Jason sounds like Heath Ledger? What, the Joker, Heath Ledger? I mean, poor bugger's gone, rest in peace. But, I don't think I sound like Heath Ledger. I wish I was earning the money he was earning, that's for sure. Or acting, better than working full-time, what I'm doing now.
Exactly.
But thank you, Jan. That's very nice of you. There's something positive for you. Get that into your people.
Yeah, well, after that nice positive thing, I actually had a negative thing about something that Jason me talked a bit about lately, but I won't bring that up. But
yeah, exactly. Just reading. We'll finish off. So just reading a couple more here.
Yeah. It would be nice if the NSC can run a range, but unfortunately, I know in Queensland that costs an absolute fortune, and it's all pretty much tied up. And the police, from what I understand, weapons licensing do not like giving out new ranges. They just don't like it at all. So unfortunately, the people with the most money seems to get them all as well.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, hopefully, hey, you never know. With elections, we might have a good result. But again, we've got to break up that monopoly of the major parties. Probably not going to happen. It's wishful thinking. But again, it's up to the people, guys. It really is up to the people.
Yep, exactly.
Again, what would you rather them do? Would you rather them have ranges, or would you rather have them fighting? Naturally, people that join new shooters that aren't political are naturally going to probably join someone that's probably got a range, because they probably at this stage they don't really know any better what they need to do. So,
or here's a third option: Would you much rather have them the money be kept for fighting for rights and be like other countries in the world that have publicly owned ranges by the government, and you have actual common sense laws where you take your gun along, none of these range officers or anything, you go along to a range, there is no one else there, you turn up, you put in a donation box, and you start shooting, and then everyone along that target line decides, okay, or there's a buzzer that automatically goes off every 30 minutes, everyone goes forward and checks their targets. How about that? Like other countries, government owned ranges, and they're just like a public park. You turn up, you start shooting, you pack up, and you leave. How good would that be?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people say up the membership fees. Our buddy Daniel Andrews up the membership fees to cover both. But again, people don't like high membership fees either. And unless you've
Ah,
got a couple of 100,000 members, it's that 50, 80, $100 does not go very far. You need 10 people just to make $1,000 plus the runnings of the organization, insurances. It's not cheap, guys. So again, ranges anywhere 3 to 5 million plus. So depending on whether you have fit outs, gun shops, getting it all done, it's just getting it through the police, finding a place to do it, especially in your major cities. Real estate, as you know, is just absolutely through the roof. Yeah, it's a tough one.
yeah.
It would be nice if we had a big fat rat like Clive Palmer, but just a pro-gun version of a Clive Palmer that had making billions of dollars, that was happy to, give us, $200 million, $100 million or $50 million even, and we just put it in, an interest account, and we use that to fight gun bans and build ranges. I mean, that's all we need. Surely there's got to be one in Australia that loves shooting, someone that's rich. Could be a banker, could be, anyone. Where are they? What are you guys doing? Let us know.
Well, I don't know how it is now, but with a horse face Dern in power, but there was a gun range, exactly what I was talking about, a government owned gun range. It was on millions of acres, and it had a four-wheel drive track owned by the government that the public can just use, a mountain biking track on another part, and a full-on long-distance gun range that you just turn up and start shooting at. And that's New Zealand, and that's pretty damn close. So why can't we do something like that? Why is it? This is my biggest beef. Why is it Crown land and public land open to four-wheel driving, hiking, to everybody that every taxpayer? It's our land. Don't lock it all up. We should be using that land.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, but we've got a lot of stupid people around, don't we? Stupid politicians that aren't really helping us. So I'm just trying to find some information here. Take over for a sec.
Yeah. Hey, what was that?
Take over for a sec.
Yep. Here's a good one. Wombat. It's funny that everyone in the floods are covered in shit and reporters are squeaky clean. Exactly, because they are shit bags and they seem to be covered in Teflon, I reckon. Yep. We got a new mud army here in Brisbane going out helping people. If it wasn't my birthday tomorrow, I'd be actually going out and volunteering and helping someone I know. But I'm actually, for the first time in my life, going to take the time off work and spend the day for myself. I'm going to sit in my shed tomorrow that I've just built and just build stuff and just relax and have a few beers. And I have a beautiful bottle of $700 bottle of Japanese whiskey that I'm going to phone up my mate who gave it to me years ago to come over, and we're going to crack it, and we are going to have a few of those. So uh, yeah, we got a whole new mud army. It's amazing. No politicians are out there getting their hands dirty, cleaning up people's homes, and people have lost everything here in Brisbane. I don't think a lot of the country understand that. They've lost everything. Like whole suburbs are gone, businesses are gone. And no, I don't see any politician out there with gloves on helping out cleaning out these homes. It's all the people like you and me out there helping our fellow citizens. And the government rely on us to do that so they can just look pretty. And it saves them money. You know what they'll be spewing about is they're going to have to get the roadside curb cleanups. for all this mess that's being created, for everyone's rubbish being thrown out, and they hate that because they try and ban that. Here's a positive one. We always think positive. Install a stripper pole, Aaron. Creators, be creative. Yeah, I agree. The only problem is I don't know anyone who can come and dance on the stripper pole. And no one is going to come to my workshop and watch me dance on a stripper pole.
Yeah, no, please. It's just the image in my brain would just no.
I'm going to. Yeah.
Can you imagine? It's be grotesque even thinking about it. Just this vision in my head is killing me right now.
I had an ex who used to do pole dancing, and I tried it, and I put my back out. So that was that for me.
Sick. Anyway, we'll probably finish up there, I think.
Yeah, definitely. We've gone, half an hour over time. It's like the old days. So thank you very much, guys, for watching and contributing. And thank you for the birthday wishes. I really do appreciate that. My birthday's actually tomorrow, but thank you so much. And it's been a fantastic night talking to you guys. So have a great week and stay safe. And thank you for everything. And thank you for those super chats. I do appreciate that. So take care, guys, and we'll see you in 7 days' time. Good night.